Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa en nakama. They are like agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Good morning and welcome to National Discourse. Of course, this is where we promote our own. We're talking about our heritage, we're talking about our country, Nigeria. Now, we are aware that next year is coming up with election. And of course, we're talking about the full-packed election, full of expectations that nobody knows what is going to happen next year. And then today, we are going to look at the role women play in politics. What are you expecting from this gender, beautiful gender called women next year? That is all we need to discuss today. And I have a guest with me in the studio, but we'll go for a short break there. When we come back, we'll go straight into the role of women in politics. Stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa en nakama. They are like agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
what happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse, weekdays on NCTV.
Right, so we'll come back from that short break. I told you I have a guest, and of course a powerful woman who will do justice to this topic. You know, most times we think women really are irrelevant. Most times we think they were restricted in the kitchen or the other room, as we all know. But women have important role they play in polity, and of course in our country, Nigeria. And I brought someone to you today. Hey ma'am, good morning and welcome to National Discourse.
Okay, thank you.
We're glad to have you in the studio today.
Yeah, thank you.
Could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, my name is Nicolette.
Nsogun Akonjo. And this topic you are talking about is a great topic that is timely. So it's something that we should do justice to.
All right. So just sit back there and then you can get back to us with our number that will be hitting the screen very soon. Let's not forget the role of women in politics. So straight to you, man. Now, you're talking about women. You're talking about politics. What does the Nigerian polity look like? Like, if we're talking about Nigerian politics, what are we looking at?
Okay, generally, there's a saying that politics is a game of interest. It's a global phenomenon. When you narrow it down to the Nigerian politics, we are looking at politics of interest according to our culture, according to our ideals, according to our beliefs. In Nigeria, politics currently is just beyond the game of the man, since we are talking about women in politics. So women are actually gathering strength, they are gathering momentum, and they are taking decisions in the marketplace concerning politics. So politics generally now, the awareness is high. And that's the reason why women must key into issues about politics in Nigeria.
All right, that is for politics. Let's look at women. When you look at, I'm not trying to be biased because I'm a woman.
Okay.
When you look at this beautiful gender in a group of people, what are we looking at? Like, not really a definition of who women are, but give us an insight into this gender.
Okay. Wow, I like what you have just said. What the beautiful creature of women. I always want to clarify one point, that women were not created out of a second thought. Women are not second thought. They are not afterthoughts. They are perfect creation of nature. So when women, the gender women has to do with a perfect creature God created for a purpose. So in politics, it's not out of place that women have a place there, because they have a purpose and they have something to achieve, and they also have a role to play to ensure that there's a balance. So as gender, as a woman, or let's say a woman that is in politics, she's expected to play her role. She's not competing with a man. She's only complementary. So men should not feel threatened when women are involved in politics. They are there to complement these roles and bring their own ideas, their vision, their wisdom, their beauty, their everything. Women are beautiful.
All right, now, when you talk about the women
and
the role they play, what do you think a woman can do to change the political sphere of Nigeria?
The first thing women should do, because I'm a sustainable development expert, we actually do not look at issues from the effects. We look at the results. We look at, not the result, we look at what caused it. The first thing, women should be educated, both formal and informal education. They need leadership. They need to be trained as leaders. If you're empowered with education, empowered with information, you want to make yourself relevant. So having gotten all these things, you make yourself relevant in the political space.
Now, talking about education, I know that back in the days, some persons, or the tradition then is you don't train women. Because they believe that their place ends right there in the kitchen. You know, some persons think you don't put your money in training a woman. Their reason is by the time the woman grows up, she gets married and becomes another person's property. Now, fast forward to this time, all right? Now, that has a kind of fizzled out, but the truth is we still have some set of people still believing in the same thing right now. Even in this age we are, we still have people still thinking, you don't train a woman. At most, I've met a father that said, at most what I can give her breast is to give her secondary education. Because I know tomorrow a man will come up and pick her up. So what is my gain? So I would want you to enlighten us, because I know the viewers are watching. I would like you to, enlighten us on what we think the importance of training a woman educationally.
Okay, that's a very interesting thing. You see, like you've rightly said, that it's shifting. People don't have those kind of beliefs any longer in totality. What I want to enlighten people is that there's a saying again that goes that investment in women is good economics. If you invest in a woman, you are investing in the nation, because a woman's investment expands and takes care of many other things, including the family, extended family, and the rest. So when you say a woman should not be educated, you are actually cheating nature, because nature made a woman in the first place. Nature puts some great things and investment in a woman's life, and if you don't make her become a leader, or you don't allow her express herself where she's supposed to, you are cheating nature, and you are also at loss. So like I said, investment in women is great and good economics.
Right, let's just go down to the roles that women play in Nigerian politics. What are the roles? Let's take it one after the other. That a woman can, what are the things or ways that a woman can contribute to making sure that the Nigerian polity is a better place. And of course, having in focus next year's election.
The roles women should play in the Nigerian election, first and foremost, is for them to get involved in the political process. How do they get involved? Like I said, it starts from the scratch. As young girls growing up, they need to build them up with leadership skills. They need to be assertive in the things they do. Women should not be allowed to be relegated to the background. You don't allow it.
When you talk about relegation to the background, that is a very big word, for us in Nigeria. What do you mean by that?
Relegation comes in several forms. Education is one of them. If you are not educated, we have a lot of civil society organizations in Nigeria that are advocating for girl child education, both locally, globally, and nationally. So those issues, like I told you, we from the development world, we don't look at the effect. We look at how do we stop it? How do we nib it at the bud? For instance, a child should be educated in the first place. You need education. That's the key. It's a fundamental human right. If a child is educated, she will be aware. She will have information. She will be empowered to make informed decisions about her life. That's the key thing. Education helps you to know about issues around the world. It helps you to know issues about media. It helps you to know things about advocacy. It helps you to know things about politics. So that's key. When a child is educated from the beginning, the child will understand what to do.
Now, do you think there's an extent a woman will be educated too, that it begins to affect her role in the family? Do you think there's an extent?
I will give a reason why there's no extent. It is the society that is putting that, giving that as a problem, or rather seeing it, because like we're saying, these gender issues are actually being put on us by the society. It is not real. They will say a woman who is a career woman is not a good wife. Those are stories. They are just they are things to bring down women. So women should accept those kind of societal norms. They should accept all those kind of sayings. Those sayings are not from God. And any saying that is not from God is not a good saying, or is not a right one. So you don't.
Now, how do you interpret submissiveness? If you're talking about from God, let's dive out a little. How do you interpret the submissiveness you see in the Bible? Coming up to place it in the home, and then placing it in the society at the same time. How do you see the place of a woman, if you're talking from the Bible? Look at it from the angle.
From the Bible, the Bible said women should be submissive to their husbands. The Bible didn't say women should be submissive to men. That's where they are mixing it up. They are mixing biblical teachings with societal norms. Men want to force women to be submissive to them even when they are wrong. I'm not talking about marriage now. This is not a marriage discussion. But the Bible is actually clear about submissiveness. And when we mean submissiveness, it's implied. Submissiveness to your husband, because he's married to you, is your head, according to the Bible. But in a place where a woman is the head of an organization, I don't know how she will be submissive to maybe her security man, because the man is a man. You see the division. How do you reconcile those two things? A man who is a security man that is supposed to be answerable to an MD or CEO, because the Bible said the man, but is the security man the husband to the woman? That's another question. It's a food for thought. Because that's when men are really trying to force those kind of things on people, but they are two different things. If a woman is a leader, she should be in charge of her space, not domineering. Because it's not good to be domineering, it's just good to be yourself. If you're a leader, maintain your space and do the right thing.
All right, let's look about marriage. All right? Now, most times, most women, get crawled back to the shell. Because of marriage. All right? Starting from school, you will discover that most women get married in school, and they will start having challenges with education, and then bring it back to the society. Some women don't really take their place in the society, probably because they are married. Now, what is the restriction you think marriage has put, for women?
First and foremost,
because this still affects the participation in politics.
It's actually doing it. It's doing that.
Okay.
Marriage is one of them. Cultural norms, our belief system. Marriage, actually, like we said, let's go back to our first discussion when we're saying if a woman is under a man, it's whatever the man says that you do.
Okay,
So
now
of course
how
it's not
does
only
that?
it affects. If you say you shouldn't be involved in politics, you cannot be, because there will be crisis. So what I want to advise women, even though we've not come to the point of what are the solutions, is that you, from the beginning, before you even get involved, you should know the man you're marrying. If you know you have such, you have aspirations and passion, you don't begin to force your passion or ideals on top
Now,
of
when you want to talk from that angle,
Yeah.
remember that there are men that by the time they are winning a woman, they will promise heaven on earth.
It's true.
If you are bringing out your fears,
Yeah.
all they're concerned at that point in time is to get you in the house.
It's actually a
Now,
challenge.
by the time they get you in the house, they go back to the biblical position.
Yes, oh.
A woman, submits under a man.
Yeah,
Now,
it's really a challenge.
Good. Now, if at the point of dating or courting, and the man, you expressed your fear, I want to go into this, the man tried talking you out of it, and it didn't work, and then he just kept quiet. Okay, let her just come in. We've seen it play out.
It's
in so many
actually
places.
true. Yeah.
Now, you discover that this woman is in this marriage.
Okay.
Now, this is her passion.
Okay.
This is her dream. This is her aspiration. All is being buried because of marriage. How do we deal with that?
Okay, first and foremost, like the husband and wife are supposed to be one, so to speak. A woman should be able to convince her husband the best she can.
If she doesn't?
If she doesn't, to me, your marriage is more important than politics.
Okay.
To me, that's how I say it. So you don't force issues that will break the home.
Sure.
Because the home is a primary institution.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
in the course of our practice, you discover that 90% of the reason you have divorce cases in court is because of disagreement on certain terms and conditions.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when the woman is coming and say, "This is what I want to do," and the man says no, and she knows, I have taken time to build myself on this. I've taken time to build my dream on this. All right, this is what you want. This is what I want. We can come together. So let's go our separate ways. Now, how does the society view a divorced woman?
Okay.
How does it affect the societal view or norms? How does it affect, a woman's role in politics?
It actually does. Like, let's go back to that issue of marriage. Like now, we have a lot of advocates. We have a lot of organizations that handle issues like that. I will advise such women to actually make sure they exhaust all the avenues to ensure that their husbands are carried along. Because I've realized that many women who actually did the right thing eventually carry their husband along. Most of them are not well informed. Some of them have little knowledge. Some have fears. Some have insecurity. So you deal with those issues.
Now, what do you think are the major reasons why a man would wake up and wouldn't want the wife to go into politics?
It's insecurity issue. One of them, they're afraid the women will be exposed to men. They'll be exposed to men. They'll be exposed to too much money, so to speak. Most men don't like their women to be richer than them because they believe that when a woman is rich, you become domineering and all this stuff. But like I said, there are ways to doing that. You know your husband, you know how to go about them, and involve institutions that can help when necessary. You were also saying something concerning the way the society sees a divorced woman. Wow, it's actually a big situation. The society see divorced women as irresponsible, but men are not irresponsible when they are divorced. It's a societal kind of norm, so to speak. But women organization can change that. We're already changing it. Actually, marriage is a contract. Biblically, there's no divorce if you go to the Bible.
Sure.
But when you come to the law,
no, biblically,
there's divorce.
There's only a particular condition for divorce.
Yeah, we're talking about adultery now. And it's actually for the man. When a wife is caught in adultery, they did not tell us when a woman catches a man in adultery.
No. When you're talking about societal norm, and you're talking about biblical injunctions, discover that they are all interwoven.
Yeah, they are.
Most of the practices we do in Nigeria and of course in Africa, it's been taken from the Bible.
It's okay.
There is no space for punishment, so to speak, for the man when he does certain things wrong. And exactly what the society have carried. Everything comes back to the women. And we are not really seated here to think of how to change that.
No.
We're thinking of how can women move forward in politics,
in the midst of all this.
In the midst of all this, how can you struggle your way out?
Okay, so
and then while you're doing that, your house is still intact
because it's very important.
Good.
Yeah, because I realize that women who are divorced, women who are from separated homes, are actually not very happy people from the background. You feel as if you are not complete. But peradventure divorce was done based on some level of security, for security reasons. That's a different thing, ball game altogether. But let politics not be the issue that should divide our homes. Like I told you, politics, the woman's place in politics and the man's place are complementary. They are roles. The day men start seeing women as partners in this business called politics, we will move forward. Because what you bring to the table is different from what I bring to the table. If a woman is not on that table, the table is not complete. And that's whatever they are discussing there is not also complete, and it cannot be effective. That's the reason why we are still having issues. When men want to take decisions for women, they want to take the place of women. In fact, I'm sure it will get to a period where men will say they are women. I'm sorry to say so.
That's serious.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge, because when men begin to take women places, where do they want the women to stay?
Okay, now let's look at the most women that are in politics now.
Yeah.
Can you mention a few of them, and then what you think actually propelled them to be there?
Okay. Actually, we had we have a lot of women that are in politics. Like in Nigeria, precisely, we had Abike Dari. What's her full name? I think she's in charge of diaspora. Yeah, she's been very, very articulate, and I know she has been taking care of a lot of things in the political space. She's an advocate, she's articulate, she's assertive, and people like that are not giving gaps for anything. That's one example. They will also have Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She was actually, so to speak, she wasn't really a politician, so to speak. She was an appointee as a minister. But that's a political position.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. And we knew what she did. We knew the space she took. We also have our lady, the former speaker. You remember Mrs. Ete? Yes, even when she was dribbled out of that seat. Because that's the challenge of women. When women get into seats, men will still want to force them out of that seat with one allegation or the other. They will always give you
to submit to a woman.
Yes. Yeah. So in the point of trying to submit, they are not comfortable with that submission because they feel the woman was supposed to submit to them. They begin to mess up and maybe come up with some form of allegation against her.
All right. Now, if you look at our political positions, all right, elective positions, rather, not political appointment, from Abia State, which is the first state, to FCT, we don't have a record of a woman governor, right?
Yeah,
we don't have a record of a woman. Probably local government chairman. I'm not really sure about that.
Local government chairman, I'm not too sure.
Good. Now, moving to the Senate, the Senate President, Deputy Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Representative, and all the notable positions, we really don't have a record of a woman being there. How is that a challenge to us?
It's a very serious challenge because the fewer women, the less impact. Like now, in the current 8th assembly, we have just 6% of women in that place. And 6% is very, very low. It's like no percent. It's even a single digit. It's a challenge because when we talk about legislation, we talk about policies that concerns women. If you don't have more people or key persons there to speak for us, our interests will not be represented. What is our interest? For women to be in politics, for women to take charge of situation, for women to be part of the process and the governing process. Women are not going to take over from men. They want to complement the roles of men. They want to ensure that their interests and expectations are represented.
Now, most times you discover that when a woman is speaking, right, or a woman is in a certain position that would require a man or men to actually respect her authority, you discover that some men and some women blame. She's a woman. I beg, tell her to keep quiet. I mean, how can we change that? Next year is election, and then, like you said, we don't have record of any woman in politics. I know this topic might be scratchy, to the ears of some men.
Yeah.
But that is what we need to talk about.
Yes.
How can we go into politics? Because I know that women are homemakers, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now, if women, reasonable women, in quote, who are homemakers, could be able to go into Nigerian politics and then sit in the home of Nigeria, don't you think those women will be able to make our home better? But hey, hold on. We'll go for a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue with this. Tell us what you feel, or if you have questions on the number on the screen. We'll be right back.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in Hausa yang nakama. They are like agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
It's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
All right, you'll come back from that short break, and before we further break, we're looking at how we can change the norm. Like, it's normal in Nigeria that she's a woman. Can you just tell her to keep quiet? You know, simply because she's a woman. How can we change such idiosyncrasies? And how much time do we need to change that? Looking at the fact that we have less than 1 year to next year's election.
Okay. The number one way to change that is for us to, as women, to do the right thing. What are those right things? We shouldn't give the society impression that a woman who is a politician is a flirt. A woman who is a politician is trying to muzzle up or trying to muzzle up power with the men folk. It's not that. That perception is also wrong. The men feel threatened. Women want to take away the power. But that is not the situation. Women want to be part of the process.
Should that be?
Is the male, the world belongs to the men. So to speak, they say it's a man's world. Do
you actually believe in that?
That is a societal norm. I don't believe in that. When they say it's a man's world, means the women don't belong to this planet. We all belong here.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's a very good question.
What are we doing, sister?
Yeah, so is a man's world is something that we need to change by ensuring that the men know that we are part of them.
They should know we are part of them.
Yes, we are part of them. We are together.
You know, trying to give the women the space they need has actually been the challenge.
Yeah, because
the man know that, okay, I need a woman, right?
But for some other things.
Good. Now, for the other room,
the other
kitchen,
room, for dancing, for campaign, for dancing.
There are certain things that they'll just need a woman to go push it.
Yeah.
Right now, giving women the space, the political space they need, has been very challenging, and that's exactly what we are talking about. How can we, be able to effect that change with the less time we have from now to next year's election?
Okay, there's something I want to say. If women always see that they should be given spaces, then they will be sitting for too long. You take the space. The space is there. Make yourself relevant. Empower yourself. We have a lot of women who are doing well. Women can take care of women issues. We don't need men to give us the space. They don't own the space. The space is there. Take it. There's a saying that if you meet a door that is closed, because we're all looking for open doors, you break the door. The door is closed. Since you know you need to pass through that place. By breaking the door, we're not talking about breaking the law, so to speak.
Yeah.
But we're talking about positive impacts, positive actions, so that we get reasonable impact. Because a lot of women have really actually distinguished themselves by proving that they can do well.
Yeah,
in many climes.
But most women that have done that, there's this popular saying that their homes are not intact.
It's not true.
Okay.
It's actually another way to make sure that they bring women down. We have a lot of women who are not politicians and still do not have intact homes. It's not politics that made those homes not to be intact. It has to do with some other factors.
Now, we haven't talking about politics.
Yeah.
We know there are so many men that don't even allow their wives to work.
That's another issue.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I know there are so many women seated there and watching, and probably at home. I know I have many classmates that after marriage, they go into extinction.
Yeah.
Nobody hears anything from you because a man says so. Now, we are not trying to say or sub the powers of a man.
Yeah.
But how do we get this complementary role? How do we get ourselves in complementary positions to moving forward? Because the men have ruled for a long time now. We are not saying they have not done well. And we can't say they didn't do well. But the truth is, if we have been in the same ship for a long time and we are still capsizing, don't you think it's time we change the captain or something? You know, not really the political parties and all that. Let's try the gender. But before you answer that question, let's remember in 2014, a certain woman came up to contest. And at the end of the day, she got 3 votes. And the question is, she has a family, she has a husband. Where did the 3 votes come from? Which means she voted for herself and probably 2 other people. Now, what is the acceptance like, even from your fellow women?
Like I've said, I always tell people that you don't give people political position based on sentiments. Women should get themselves empowered. There's a level you get yourself empowered that you become relevant in the space. Nobody pushes you out of there. Women should not be given position based on sentiments or out of like all this 35% affirmative stuff. I'm not against it, but it's as if it's a compensation for what? We can have 100% if we so wish. Make yourself relevant. Get yourself empowered. Get yourself educated. Like I said, if they said you were not giving space on the table, create your table. Women can create their own tables and take decisions. United Nations women are doing great things around the world, and they are creating impact. So those days of self-pity, they did not give me. Anybody who is thinking somebody did give him something is just not ready to move on. Give yourself, create space, and move on. So the best way about this whole thing about women policy is for women to get involved in the first place. If you're sitting somewhere for somebody to come and give you one position, the highest they'll give you is women affairs. Why is it women affairs? So that they will just be busy in the kitchen. Women affairs is what?
The other room.
Busy in the other room and other stuff.
We'll talk about the other room.
Yeah.
We'll go for a short break now, and when we come back, we'll look extensively into the role of women in Nigerian politics looking at next year. Please stay with us.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nakama. They are like Agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has another tone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When the Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.
Yes, it's getting very interesting here in the studio. I know, I wish and I pray some sect of people are not actually feeling somehow, because we're talking about the women gender, which has always been a challenge to men. So right here, I'm still with you, man, and we are looking at how women can, make a change. Or let me use the word you said, create a space. Don't wait for anybody to give you space. Create a space, make your table, and start up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, let's interpret that physically. In next year's election, up to now, I'm not sure that we have any female contestant. Let's talk about the gubernatorial positions first, and then the presidential position. I'm not very sure we've heard about any woman coming out. Now, if we have such women, like you said, that are in the background, trying to create their space, do you think they have been able to get enough space, let alone making their tables to be able to, contest for next year's election?
Okay. Concerning if we have people who have interest in the next year election, we have a lot of women coming out. I think there's a woman for a presidential slot. Yeah, there's a woman. Yeah, and even in different states, there are. Like now, talking physically about creating space and what are the challenges these women are facing. Actually, those challenges will be there, but life itself is a risk. If you don't take it, you also take risks for not taking it. You create space by engaging women, and you also create space by engaging the male counterparts, because you cannot win without them. That's a mistake men are doing. In fact, men are very smart people, but they use women. They use women to get where they. Exactly. Women can also use men to get to where they want to.
If you look at the population, you discover that in fact in every sphere, women are always larger in population. Now, if every woman in Nigeria comes out and votes for a woman, don't you think the person have the likely chance of winning the election? Before we get to bringing
it's true. It's true. The person has a likely chance to win the election. But like what we are saying, the person should also be credible. It's not just about being a woman. Are you credible, whether you're a man or a woman? But if women actually put their heads together to ensure that a woman wins, we will win the election. But because we are more.
There is one funny thing about women.
Yeah, we are more.
I don't want to say jealousy. No. There's this thing about a woman. You discover that a woman comes out, it's difficult for a fellow woman to go and vote for that person. They prefer to vote the men counterpart. Now, how do we draw the men on the side of the women? I know it's very difficult for us to do that, but if a woman is coming out for next year's presidential election, how we should be able to draw the men's attention to come to the side, having in mind that the men have this notion that the women can't do this, they are not supposed to be here, this is not their space, they should not drag this with us. They're talking about politics.
Okay. The way a woman can get a man into her space or to get his attention or even getting her fellow women is from your political manifesto. We need to know what you want to come and do. We know what people want.
Have manifestos, have it always salvaged the situation in the country?
Well, it may not really, but sometimes I want to let you know that manifesto speaks volume about your candidate.
Okay, now let's remember that this present party came in with manifesto.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that they have gone 60% with what was embedded in their manifestos. So if you're going by manifesto, do you think manifesto is
that's just one aspect. Yeah. Good. Your manifesto, and when we say manifesto, we also talk about your grassroots involvement. I always tell people, don't come out from the blues one day you want to be a politician. It starts from somewhere. How have you been involved at the local level,
grassroots,
regional level, national level? How have you involved young people? How have you involved women? What have you been doing so that people can believe in the things you can do? No. Because for you to say, I can do this, what did you do before?
Now, talking about involving the young people,
yes,
we keep hearing about a certain group, Not Too Young to Run. Do we have any active women there that is really pushing things up there?
Actually, we have women, but like you said, they are few. There are not many. Women are actually, a lot of them accepted these norms and the whole thing society put on them. And so women need to stop accepting that. That's another way. Because everything in this life starts from the mind. If your mindset is right, you do the right thing.
And the truth is, sorry to cut you off there. You can't, like you said, you can't come out from the blues to contest into politics. Now, as a woman, you must be empowered first.
You must be empowered
before you talk about politics.
Yes.
Now, for women that are seated at home, I mean, what do you have to tell them? Women are sitting at home, having accepted the norm that you're a woman, your place is in the kitchen, and then you just sit back there and accept anything your husband gives you.
I want to be a good wife.
Yeah, now being relegated to the background in the name of being a good wife. Now, I'm not saying you should disobey your husband's instructions, but we are saying there are some women that have this intellectual capacity. They have what it takes to move Nigeria forward. But hey, there are somewhere, in some rappers tied up in their homes. Now, like you said, you can't just come out from somewhere and then want to go into politics. These women must be empowered first.
They must be involved.
Good. You must be involved.
Yeah.
You must have something doing first.
Yes.
Before you talk about moving into whether business,
you must be informed. You must have some information about politics, about leadership.
How do we pull these women out from their shell, from where they are, without obstructing what it looks like a norm in their homes, or without letting them break their homes? How will such women come out from the shell to help build Nigeria as a nation?
The best way to get them is to mobilize them out of those homes through advocacy projects, sensitization, awareness, like what we are doing here. This is a form of awareness. Women need to know that their leadership position is very key. Leadership position is not for you to contest elections. Every woman should see herself as a leader, because leadership skills help you take decisions. It helps you make choices among several alternatives. So women need to be empowered first. Everybody must not be a president. We just need only one president.
Sure.
But we need many leaders in different aspects of life, adding value to the society. If there's a woman president or a male president, we need other leaders to ensure that the institutions are working. Because many of the problems we have in Nigeria is institutional decay, where people are always blaming, it is a president, it is this. You are a leader in your own space. So women even need leadership for them to be good wives. So that's where you can balance it. If a husband sees that because of leadership training, political exposure, a woman is doing well at home, these same husbands will even begin to canvass that, I can see changes. So women should have a balance between their political aspirations.
But most husbands don't even want you to open your eyes. Most men just want you to just sit down there and do nothing. All they want you to do is they come back from work, you welcome them, you give them food, you make sure you don't cross a particular space. Now, hey,
those kind of men are insecure. They feel insecure.
I mean,
they feel insecure.
We can't move forward.
They actually that's not the best. It's not the best for our women. And for the fact that you are keeping the woman in the house doesn't make forcing submissiveness on her. That's forceful submissiveness.
It doesn't change the personality.
No, it doesn't change.
That is what I keep telling some people. If you tell me to sit back at home, now you are only making me idle. And remember, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. But if I'm busy, it takes my mind off certain things I would have originally, positioned my attention to. I am here, I'm very busy. From 8 to whenever I close. So I don't have time for anything.
And does it affect your home?
How does it affect my home? I try to make it work. Good. Now, if you keep me at home, remember, I could just use a few minutes to tidy up my home, and my kids have gone to school. And what happens? Between the morning hours and the night you're returning, so many things must have happened. Even if you catch me at home and tell me you are, encircled into the space, this is phone. This is mobile phone. We can still use it and do anything. So keeping a woman at home to a man is not the ideal thing. A woman that builds a home can help build a better society. They're talking about politics now. Now, I know it will be hard for us to get the support of men, but the truth is, if a woman gets the support, now we are very quick to be judged as women. If you just talk, they'll tell you, what of the Azin and Alison Madwiki? What of Patricia? What of this person? But the truth is, we have so many men that have made mistakes, but nobody counts on them because they are men. But I don't think we should be judged as women. I think we should be given some space, like you said.
If they don't give you space, you take the space.
Good. Now,
the space
looking
yourself.
at next year's election, like we said, you already mentioned we have a candidate coming out for presidential election and all that. Now, a better society begins from a unit called a home. If you cannot put your home in order as a woman, don't even bother coming out to say you want to put some things in order. That is where the background check begins to come in place. Now, our women, do you know, I discovered that some young women don't want to get married because they will tell you they have certain ambitions that they want to achieve first before they will go and tie themselves down. How do we derobe ourselves from that thing that marriage is a bondage, in relation to politics?
Okay, very good. Men also have to help in this aspect. Men should stop making women feel that they are enslaved when they are married. Marriage is an aspect of life that adds value to somebody's life. It's an aspect, I use that word, and there are other aspects. I always call it a package. Our marriage, our career, our job, our kids, our friends make us happy. If you remove one out of that package, it's as if something is missing. So if somebody is passionate about something and somebody is passionate about her career, politics or whatever, you allow the person to achieve them. So the whole thing will be complete. So men need to actually stop doing that. That is serious emotional abuse, and in all ramifications to ensure that the woman is caged at home and she cannot express herself politically.
The question is, when a woman is at home, what is she doing exactly? What value is she adding to the society?
The value she's adding to her home, so to speak.
Do you think it's complete? Because if you're staying at home, you're doing nothing, you have actually nothing to bring to the table.
Nothing to bring to the table.
And the truth is, looking at the economic situation, is not everything that a man steps in. Is not every lacuna that a man steps in to cover. Of course. Okay. Now, there are times that you need us as men to step in. There are times you don't need to tell us what to do. We know exactly what to do. And we are talking about the reasonable woman.
Yeah, the reasonable woman.
Who still, restrict herself within the ambit of what her family, her family line is like. So, for the men, I really don't think it's wise for us to, I call it cage a woman and tell her to please stay at home. Your place ends from the bedroom, the other room, to the kitchen. From the kitchen, you go to the parlor. From the parlor, take off the keys and all that. The truth is, we cause more harm than good. Because once a woman is idle, I bet you a lot of things are running up her mind.
Yeah.
And if you cage a woman, you don't get happiness from that woman.
She will just be pretending. She may just
try to check her. Yeah. There is no happiness anyway gotten from there. But in as much as so many women have set bad examples, we know so many men too have set bad examples. So I don't think little thing will begin to be judged. They're not women. Tomorrow they will say we should give them space to come and rule. I think that should be taken out. Women should not be relegated to the background. There is much, and there is still so much for a woman to do. Looking at Nigerian politics, and of course, whatever thing that affects a sector, politics is just one particular sector.
It is.
We are talking about how it affects the economy.
Yeah.
Now, if Nigerian economy must move forward, I think more women should be given the opportunity to participate actively. Today we are just looking at political aspect of it, but looking at contribution to the economy, we think all women should be given the ample opportunity to participate in the economy or their own contribution, but that begins from the home.
Yeah, it begins from the home.
I don't know, our time is fast spent. I would want you to, throw some few words there for some women that are seated at home. Of course, like I said, our aim is not to break any home.
No.
But some people are not informed about what they're supposed to do. For some women that are at home, not happy because they feel they are caged, and not happy because they feel there's so much I need to give out to society, but I'm not giving the opportunity to that. So you give us some words to them, and then of course you just throw some cautionary words to our men, because we still need them.
Okay. The first thing, like I've said from the beginning, a girl child should be educated, she should be empowered, because if she's empowered from her home, she'll go into a home as an empowered woman. So that empowerment starts from the scratch. And also, there are issues like violence against women. Violence during elections, violence. So those are some of the things that are even making women not to come out. A typical female gender is a very careful person. Does not want to associate herself with violence.
Carefulness or fear?
Fear, all combined. So our laws and policies should be gender sensitive, such that all those kind of things should be taken care of. Violence during election, because that's the reason why some women shy away from. They say politics is a dirty game, and most political meetings take place in the night.
So
and most of these
which
women
man would want to release the wife
to go for such meeting? Yes, such meeting.
So do you think such things should be changed?
Well, it's difficult to change it. It's a global thing. Meetings, nocturnal meetings for politics, I hope you know, is not an easy game.
I know.
When we are saying women should come into politics, we are not talking about all women. Women that can weather the storms, we're talking about. Because we also have men who don't do politics.
It's not just in politics, even in offices.
Churches
just
do night
your
vigil.
husband that, or even churches, that you have a program at night, the first look, and you're like, hey, what are you talking about?
So trust should have something to play here. If your wife or a mother is a politician, there should be some level of trust that the meeting she's going for is for that purpose. It's not all the time. It's once in a while those kind of meetings take place. And like you said, the male folk are more. In such gatherings, she may just be the only woman or few women. There should be some level of trust. I've seen a lot of women whose husbands supported them. So our policies, we need men to support their wife. If you notice your wife has such ambition, you support her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming today. In as much as we didn't start on time, and we had to stop here because our time is fast spent. We would have much ample time to invite you over to the studio to still talk more, because your word is full of energy, and I'm sure it has actually pushed a certain woman up there. Now, you don't need to sit back at home, do nothing, and wait for a man to always go and come back. Now, if you want to be relevant as a woman, there must be something you bring on the table. You're not talking about just money, you're talking about ideas, you're talking about information. Now, if you are a woman, you want to make positive impact, you don't need to be at home. So if you're at the time that your husband has said, stay back there, then employ, like she said, use every necessary means to convince, not to force yourself. That is called conviction. You have to exercise your conviction power to convince your husband to allow you step out. But the truth is, when you're out there, please do not mess up, because these are the reasons why some men say to the wives have to stay back at home. Now, talking about politics, you have what it takes to change Nigerian polity. If you think Nigerian politics is not what it's supposed to be, then you as a woman, because we are homemakers, you have what it takes to change everything you are seeing wrong in Nigerian politics. And then starting off, this is where we're going to draw a curtain on National Discuss today. One more time, thank you very much for coming.
So much,
until we meet you on way again tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m. Please wave us.
Thank you.
Right.
Welcome to National Discourse.
Current affairs.
We must not extricate anybody from corruption. If any one of them is found wanting, the due course and the law must take its course.
Nation building.
Administration is slightly different from the last one in the fight against corruption.
We need to really task our leaders, who are the religious leaders, from the emir, from the bishops, from whoever they can.
Some of our village markets, there are people, they call them in house like Nakama. They are like Agberu in the markets.
Whatever anything is not useful to you is not important to you.
Politics.
What happened in Benue might be political. It still has an undertone, not political, dated way back. If you follow history,
it's interactive.
Not part of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it will not be good for us.
When they gather their people, they tell them, these Hausa people are your enemies. When the Hausas gather together, they tell them, these Igbo people are your enemies. When the Yoruba people gather together, they say the same thing.
Who are we? We are just from the background. And today, we are here in TSTV. And that is why we must propagate our own.
National Discourse. Weekdays on NCTV.